evening and welcome to Biz RoundUp. I am Tamiru Nimsat and we at Art Television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. Increased connectivity is a must in the Indian Ocean region, President says. Sri Lanka takes another major step towards cashless transactions. UPI will empower SMEs to enter the digital sphere, Central Bank Director says. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe visited Perth, Australia to attend the 77th Indian Ocean Conference. The conference, organised by the India Foundation and the Australian government, focuses on fostering stability and sustainability in the Indian Ocean region. During his visit, President Wickremesinghe met with Premier Roger Cook of Western Australia to discuss renewable energy initiatives, agricultural development and closer ties between Sri Lanka and Perth. Premier Cook expressed keen interest in exploring investment opportunities in Sri Lanka, given its strategic location in the Indian Ocean. President Wickremesinghe extended an invitation for Premier Cook to visit Sri Lanka and witness firsthand the country's progress and potential. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also convened with members of Sri Lanka's diaspora community in Perth. The President further attended a meeting with the Foreign Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, during his short stay in Perth. President Wickremesinghe went on to deliver the keynote address at the 7th Indian Ocean Conference, sharing Sri Lanka's perspectives on enhancing stability in the Indian Ocean. Delivering the keynote address at the Indian Ocean Conference, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the importance of increased connectivity within the Indian Ocean in order to accommodate the projected GDP increase in the region.
India's two new connectivity initiatives are welcome. Firstly, the India-Mumbai-Iran-Russia corridor, and secondly, the India, that's Mumbai, Middle East, European corridor. Similarly, there are connectivity initiatives taking place in the Bay of Bengal. Work has already commenced on the Kunming corridor, giving access to Western China. Thailand is planning the Kra land bridge connecting the Gulf of Siam with the Bay of Bengal. India and Sri Lanka are commencing feasibility studies on land connectivity between the two countries, making Sri Lanka a regional logistic hub with Colombo and Trincomalee ports available to South India.
Speaking further at the event, President Wickremesinghe called for unity among Indian Ocean rim countries to address shared challenges and create a safer, more sustainable ocean environment. He also advocated for the development of an overarching regional architecture for the Indian Ocean, emphasizing the responsibility of IORA leaders in achieving this goal.
Sri Lanka is focusing on the interdependence between the Indian Ocean and climate change. The Climate Change Justice Forum aims to accelerate financing of losses and damages and includes debt justice as an essential component of the overall solution. Any proposal mitigation adaptation intervention must take into account the debt component faced by climate vulnerable and developing countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an uncertain times. The stability we had taken for granted since the end of World War II and the Cold War is unraveling. Globalization is being challenged, as is multilateralism. The climate crisis is affecting prospects for trade and economic development around the world. It is impacting on food security, livelihoods, supply chains, biodiversity and maritime transportation. Either we can wait for global development to dictate our fate or unite so that we may chart our own course. Creating a safer ocean environment by building confidence and predictability among users and enhancing ocean situational awareness will be key to maintaining peace and security in the Indian Ocean. The main platform that can undertake this important task is the Indian Ocean Rim Association. Ensuring a peaceful and secure Indian Ocean would facilitate sustainable use of oceans for the economic and social benefit of coastal and littoral states.
The launch of Unified Payment Interface Services in Sri Lanka and Mauritius, along with Prime Minister of Mauritius Pravin Jugnauth and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, took place via video conferencing on Monday. Government today introduced India's Unified Payment Interface, which is mostly known as UPI, to achieve a cashless economy, tightening the loopholes that have allowed for tax evasion in the island nation. The UPI, a revolutionary digital payment move, will help the public to use their smartphone as a virtual debit card, In other words, people do not need any cash or card to carry out transactions. They can simply use the smartphone as a debit card and send and receive money through it. The UPI is an interface that allows the user to link more than one bank account in one smartphone app and transfer funds without having to share any account number. The Indian High Commission in Colombo said that India has emerged as a leader in fintech innovation and digital public infrastructure, and Indian Prime Minister has placed a strong emphasis on sharing development experiences and innovation with partner countries. It also said the launch will enable availability of UPI settlement services for Indian nationals travelling to Sri Lanka and Mauritius, as well as for Mauritian nationals travelling to India. Officials at the Inland Revenue Department said the move will help to tax a person at the point of receiving funds or earning income from multiple sources to various bank accounts. The UPI also saves the taxpayers from paying more taxes while serving as a foolproof method for tracking transactions and reduces the use of cash, which is hard to track. Stay tuned. We will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that UPI will provide much needed relief for merchants operating in Sri Lanka while dealing with India, providing a platform for strengthened connectivity. The President said this speaking at the virtual launch of the Unified Payments Interface through Lanka QR.
This shows our connections both economically and culturally. For thousands of years, payments have taken place between our two countries, and at that time, fortunately, there were no central banks. But in fact, our museums hold a number of coins, South Indian coins of over 1,000 years old, which have been found in different parts of villages of the dry zone, an indication that the South Indian trading corporations were very active even in the villages. So what we are doing today is only upgrading it technologically. You no longer have coins, you have Lanka QR and the NIPL together. And certainly as more and more Indian tourists visit Sri Lanka, this will be used in every village in our country. Furthermore, the transactions that go on between Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka and Mumbai of such scale that this certainly is of valuable use to us, especially to the merchants. We have about, I think, 400,000 who are now engaged in this. So I look at this as an important part of the developing further connectivity between our two countries.
Addressing the event, Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi said that the adoption of the UPI payment method, even the smallest vendors of the most rural part of India, is now accepting digital payments, enabling wider connectivity.
India's Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, is now taking on a new mantle, that of uniting partners with India. Friends, India's digital public infrastructure has brought about a revolutionary change in the smallest of our villages. Even the smallest vendors are making digital payments. And this is because it is not only convenient, but fast as well. Last year, a record 100 billion transactions took place through UPI. Their total value was 2 trillion rupees, or 8 trillion Sri Lankan rupees, or over 1 trillion Mauritian rupees. The Jam Trinity, that is bank accounts, Aadhaar cards, and mobile phones, have enabled us to ensure last mile delivery. Through this system, we have deposited so far 34 trillion crores rupees, that is over $400 billion directly in the bank accounts of beneficiaries.
The President's Media Division unveiled the introduction of UPI transactions, forging a link between India and Sri Lanka. A press conference pertaining to this was held at the President's Media Centre recently. The press briefing saw the presence of key stakeholders including Lanka Pay Chairman Dr. Kenneth De Silva, Lanka Pay CEO Channa De Silva, representative of Lanka QR Implementation Committee Randil Boteju and FinTech representative Conrad Dias. Implemented jointly by NPCI International Payments Limited and Sri Lanka's Lanka Pay Private Limited, the initiative sets out to swiftly expand UPI payment systems across 10,000 stores with plans to scale up to 65,000 stores nationwide by March 2024. Director of Payments and Settlements of the Central Bank, Vasant Alvis, stressed that all banks and financial institutes registered with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka are mandated to issue them. This move promises to unlock opportunities for small and medium-sized enterprises in Sri Lanka, leveraging the familiarity of Indian tourists with QR code payments. Transactions will be seamlessly credited in Sri Lankan rupees, with recipients receiving instant notifications via text messages. Moreover, SMEs stand to gain access to bank loans after 6 months, bolstered by the revenue generated through these transactions. Looking forward, the initiative aims to reciprocate the ease of payments, enabling Sri Lankans to utilize QR codes for transactions in India. Stay tuned. We will return after the short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Director of Payments and Settlements of the Central Bank, Vasant Alvis, said that with this development will enable even the smallest vendors in the countries who couldn't previously afford to accept card payments to now accept digital payments. He said this speaking at the press conference hosted by the President's Media Division recently.
If you take a card payment, it is available mostly in the leading supermarkets and the shops where some amount can be spent on the digital payment. But when it comes to Lanka QR, any person can have a Lanka QR code. Basically, there's no much cost for the Lanka QR, this particular Lanka QR code. So even the supermarkets or the leading shopping malls or the small grocery shops or the people on the street who are selling vegetables, fruits like that can also use a Lanka QR code to accept payments digitally. So now we will turn. So what are the benefits of Lanka QR and UPI synergy or the UPI link? So if when we look at that, if you go to some other country, either you have to bring cash in US dollars, or you need to get a payment card and go. But after this implementation, when Indians comes to Sri Lanka, they don't need to bring cash. Instead of that, they can bring their UPI enabled payment app. And that payment app can be used at any merchant location and they can make the payment. So they don't need to worry about how much of US dollars that they need to bring to Sri Lanka or how much of Indian rupees that they need to bring to Sri Lanka, or what is the conversion rate where I can change this currency like that. They don't need to worry.
Sri Lanka's tourism sector witnessed tourist arrivals exceeding 300,000, marking a significant upsurge compared to the same period last year. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando revealed that nearly 92,000 visitors arrived in Sri Lanka during the first 12 days of February, speaking to a local newspaper recently.
Provisional data from the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority unveiled that the country received over 50,000 visitors in the first week of February and over 30,000 in the subsequent 4 days. The daily average arrivals for February surged to over 7,000, showcasing a notable uptick compared to both last year and January this year, which stood at 6,000. Russia led the tourist influx, contributing 14% of arrivals, followed closely by India, UK, China and Germany. Visitors from France, Poland, Australia, US and Netherlands also contributed to the positive momentum. January witnessed a milestone with tourist arrivals surpassing the 200,000 mark for the second consecutive month, signaling a robust recovery trajectory for Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Tourism earnings in January recorded a remarkable increase of 122.7% year-on-year, amounting to over $341 million, making the highest earnings for January since the Easter Sunday attacks.
Japanese Ambassador Mitsukoshi Hideaki and Resident Representative of the UNDP, Asuza Kubota, marked the official launch of a new project titled The Project for Promoting Economic Governance Through Anti-Corruption Policy Support in Colombo last Tuesday.
The newly launched project aims to strengthen the anti-corruption ecosystem in Sri Lanka through national policy reform, inter-stakeholder collaboration, and enhanced institutional capacity building. Supported by the government of Japan through the Japanese supplementary budget, the project will be implemented by the government of Sri Lanka and UNDP in Sri Lanka. Japanese Ambassador Mitsukoshi Hideaki emphasized Japanese commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's economic governance and anti-corruption initiatives. He highlighted the importance of anti-corruption measures in creating a business-friendly environment for foreign investors, expressing Japan's dedication to promoting fair economic governance in Sri Lanka. Resident representative for UNDP in Sri Lanka, Azusa Kubota underscored the necessity of accountable and transparent system and institution for Sri Lanka's economic reforms and recovery. She emphasized the partnership with Japan as complementing ongoing efforts to strengthen economic governance and combat corruption, expressing gratitude for Japan's support. The project's interventions aligns with Goal 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals to promote peace, access to justice, and effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels.
With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.